also Skype can do this, but Zoom is a bit more reliable. We found it a bit more reliable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to record this call. So whenever it's going to be available for you later on. So whenever you feel that you would like to see again, to have a recap of what we talked about, then you can just watch the video, watch the call again, watch the recording. As Bhakti mentioned, we had another try a couple of days ago, and at that time we had a round. We went around, and the participants just introduced themselves with some words, and also mentioned what their background in design thinking and in design in general is. Would you mind if we go around again, because I see that there are some new faces and new names in the list of participants. So Arun, would you like to start again the introduction of yourself and
sure. Yeah, if you can
your background in design.
Okay, so my name is Arun Babji. I head the engineering for a product called Cash Management. I'm based out of Pune, and I have had previous experience with design thinking from my former organization, where this was a standard practice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to be the next one? Anastasia, for example, you.
Hi everyone, so my name is Anastasia. I'm a senior product management for trade and supply chain finance. So my prime role is looking after product management, so this is strategy, roadmap, deliveries. In terms of design thinking, that's not something I've been closely involved, so very interested to find out more.
That's great. Anastasia, you don't have anything, you don't even know what it is about. You have never met the term, your colleagues didn't use that methodology.
So my background is banking, so I only recently joined Finastra, so that's not something, so I know the term and I obviously know high level, but I haven't been involved in it as much, so that's why I will be keen to find out how it works.
Great, thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, who would like to be next?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So Jakub Daszkiewicz speaking. I'm a senior developer manager for Fusion Risk in Gdynia, and I had been nominated to attend this call, this series of calls to learn and then to teach other guys here in Gdynia.
Did I hear correctly? Your name is Jacob?
Yes, Jacob.
Okay.
Yes.
Jacob, do you have any knowledge of design thinking? Have you participated in a design thinking?
No, not at all.
Okay, that's great. Okay, John, would you mind sharing your background?
Hi everyone, this is John Tarakan. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So I basically am a user experience resource. I joined Finastra. Yeah, I joined Finastra a year back, but right now I'm not doing specifically user experience job, but I'm doing more of a product management kind of a work. So I know a very high level, as most of them mentioned, about design thinking. I actually have an experience of working with and thinking through the process of the design thinking. But I would be very keen to start off all over again and get a fresh perspective as and when we are briefed on this. So I would probably stay, say having to have a fresh start right away.
Okay, thank you, John. Where are you working and in what topic, what product?
So I take care of the aspects for Fusion Corporate Banking, which is right now branded as FCC, which is the Connected Corporate Channels.
Okay.
So you would have products of trade, cash, lending, all those things. So it's a connected corporate channels that I work with.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Welcome in the team. Okay, Matt.
Hi there, hi guys. Hi, my name is Max and I work on Londacom, so I sit part of the product management team here in London. In terms of my background with design thinking, I did it when I was in uni to design some sort of product, but that was about 2 years ago. So that's the extent of it. We do a little bit design thinking in Londacom back when our UX designer or UI designer was around. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're a bit familiar with it. Okay, with the term and the processes. Yeah. Thank you very much. We have a Matt. Matt, do you hear us?
Hello.
Oh, yes. Hi.
Mateusz Kołodziejski.
Oh, okay.
I'm currently based in Berlin, but I'm working closely with offices in Gdynia and in Paris. And I'm a software engineer working with Fusion Control integration, and I've been contributing to Dazzle in the past as well. Okay. And I haven't had any previous experience with design thinking, so I'm looking forward to learn something here.
Oh, that's great. Welcome. Okay, let me see who we are missing. I see Arun just arrived. Hello, Arun. Would you mind sharing with the others your background?
Sure. Hi, this is Arun. I'm joining from Trivandrum. I work for the Total Analytics Group. I work as a dev manager.
And would you mind sharing again, because we already met last time, but the others haven't. Would you mind sharing the group again, your background with design thinking and design in general?
Not really. If I'm reading you correctly, I am the innovation champion from this side. I should have Rajesh with me, who is not able to join the call. He has some prior experience for the design thinking, and okay. This call, I'm just participating along with Rajesh.
Okay, you're substituting. Okay, all right, all right. Well, let's hope that he can join next time. Okay, I think there is one more person, but that's just
hello.
Hello, hi.
This is me, Prithumet. So I'm joining from the retail banking.
Okay. And your background, other than the product? Do you hear us? You're muted. Do you hear us, Prithumet? Okay. Well, we'll hear him back. We'll listen to his introduction as well. Okay. So thank you again for sharing with us your background, and welcome again. Thank you for coming. I am Zsuzsanna, and I work as a UX designer, and I'm part of Innovation Labs. And we are actually with Bhakti in the same organization, which is responsible for innovation in general, to coordinate and come up with innovative ideas that will take us to the next level in terms of what the outside, what the banks think of Finastra. What today is about is really just an introduction. So the purpose of today is to introduce you to human-centered design and design thinking in general, which is a creative approach to hands-on problem solving. Today alone will not be enough for you to practice this, but some next sessions will allow you to actually lead a design thinking session and a design thinking crash course as part of the Spark Days. So actually what we are doing now is preparing you to be an ambassador of design thinking, because design and design thinking is a very important initiative in the company that we should focus on more. So this introduction is meant to help to give us a common language and also some experience to how to solve problems a bit more creatively, and together shared understanding of this topic. Okay, what we will learn. Again, today is just a very high-level introduction. You will get a feel of the mindset, and later on we will try to give you some practice as well. Of course, a 1-hour session is not enough for that, but continually, and design thinking is not something that I can give you in 1 hour, but continually throughout these sessions, you will get everything you need. What we will not talk about, and what this session is not about, it's even though it gives you an overview and it's an accelerated process, it does not give you the full end-to-end education, and we will not go through end-to-end of a design process. Okay? Do you have any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay, so let's go to our next slide. Do you see the screen? Yes, you do. Do you?
Yes.
Is there anybody who doesn't see what's on the screen? Nice. A nice man. Do you see, does everybody see? Please, there is a vote. You can vote if you don't see what I am projecting. Please vote no if, okay, no notes. So, we designers believe that, that even though we are called designers, it's not only our privilege to design something. We believe that it's not just our profession, but rather an attitude that is necessary to solve problems through a design thinking methodology with human-centered thinking. And throughout this, as I mentioned, we hope that you will be a design evangelist of Finastra, and we hope that you will share the same understanding of design thinking and the importance of this. So let's see what is design, what people usually think of design. A lot of people think of design as aesthetics. At the same time, we say that it is not only aesthetics. It's not just how a product looks. It is not something that we do just one time. Many times, sometimes during our practice as well inside the company, design is just thought about as a sparkle at the very end. You know, the developers do their stuff. They come up with the functionality, and then they ask the designers to just sprinkle with something and then make it look good. Actually, we think, and when you practice design thinking, you will realize that this is just not a one-time practice. And it is not a product itself. So it is not really a noun, but really a verb, because we think that it is all this, how it looks, the experience it creates, and also the creation process itself. And we are going to talk about this creation process today and then later on. It has 5 steps, and we will go through these 5 steps. There are a lot of ways how these 5 steps are visualized. Maybe some of you have heard of IDEO or Frog or Fitch. These are all known design companies who have their own processes, but they are basically the same things. They are just naming different parts of it differently. So it has various visualization, but the concept is the same. How does it feel to be in this process? There is a person called Damien Newman, and he was the one who drew this line. And there is this, you see that there is this uncertainty part when it's there is this a lot of lines, a lot of things going on, and there is this clarity when there is only this one long line. And how a design thinker thinks of the process is that at the very beginning, when there are a lot of things going on, that's the research part. That's when we don't have focus on one clear thing, but rather trying to gather ideas, gather information from a lot of different places. Then around in the middle, we prototype and then test and find out if what we thought would be working well is really working for those people who we are designing for. And then when the line just smoothes it out, that's where we actually make the design and make the final product. Do you have questions so far? Or does it feel that, okay, well, where am I? What is this girl talking to me?
So far, so good.
So far, so good?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Did I say anything that is new to you? Do you agree with what I said?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you feel that it's something that you can live with, meaning that design is not one thing, it's not only the look and feel, but rather a process which has this uncertainty part and then it clears out? Did you ever experience that in your life?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can you give me an example?
Of yeah, I mean, is your question about how do you run how did you run a process that translated an idea into reality? How did you live this process?
Yeah, what was your experience? Did you experience that there is this uncertainty in the beginning and then it cleared out? Did you have that feeling, Arun?
Yes, because I mean the whole idea was also bringing in a diverse set of crowd, and starting off with an ambition. Okay, I mean the what you want to achieve is more like an ambitious statement. It's a hope. So the initial stages of all that collaboration is pretty chaotic. There is a sense that guys, we are fooling around. Nothing much is going to come out of it, and people differ so much. I mean, they might bring in points that you would never even have considered. You would say, okay, this is bullshit. Why is this even relevant? But later on, when you synthesize those ideas, their inputs, you do get a sense of value addition, and then say, okay, guys, this might never have come out if we did not have this diversity. We did not really spend time researching the problem, talking to people who are actually involved in using the solution, and valuing all those diverse perspectives. Many a time, some perspectives never get discussed at all.
Yeah, yeah. John, you mentioned that you are coming from UX. Do you have anything to add from your background and your projects that is similar to this?
Yeah, I remember doing a small user experience session at the Bangalore office for the FCC group, majorly a community of developers and beginners. So I remember using the same slides, explaining them, you know.
Okay.
So explaining them, you know, how the process evolves when you have so much of things to cover up in the first. You don't know what is that you want, and then you define those process, you define your line items, and then you go ahead and you know, reiterate the process of design, and then you get into a crystal clear product, and then it evolves like that. So I remember using the same slides. Yeah, so you have something like a double triangle that we look out for. Maybe it will
double
come out.
diamond.
Yes, double diamond. So it might
Yeah.
come out across the slide that you're going to present. So I'm very much in sync, and I totally appreciate the way you're doing it. So it's really fabulous. Here listening, I mean, having to hear you once again. So it's really good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
For those of you who haven't been participating in a design thinking session, or you don't have a UX background, have you ever been in a project when it felt the same way, that you started something, it was all very mushy, not very clear what to do, and then finally it became clear? Would anyone like to share that experience if you had one? If not, it's all right. We will go forward to cover some common aspects, because see, I mentioned that there are a lot of different visualization and a lot of different methodologies how design thinking and human-centered design is thought about by different companies. This is not a very new thing. An architect, you know, the person who is building a house is actually doing this. Doing the same process. It's at the very beginning, he's getting inspiration, he's getting the needs of the people who is ordering that house. And then he will have some sketches which he's going to share with the actual people who are going to live in that house. And then it's the very final stage when the implementation, the actual building is going to happen. So this is what we are going to go through. And you will see that this can not only apply to an architecture or a product design when you actually design a physical product, but also to software products. There are some common things, and of course I didn't. What John mentioned is the double diamond. I didn't write that down, but IDEO is actually. I think he was IDEO was the first company who actually mentioned the double diamond. You can. There are a couple of triangles, but I'm going to go through that process and explain what does actually it mean, what it actually means. So let's go through what are the common aspects of these methodologies. One of the things that Arun mentioned was collaboration, and it's a very important part to collaborate. And he also mentioned that there were a lot of people from different backgrounds, and this is exactly a very important point of the methodology, to bring people together, colleagues with various background and viewpoint. And because the solution that is going to emerge, it emerges from diversity, it is one base, one very strong base that things can be built upon. That it is from a different angles, it is checked, the viability, the needs, everything is checked from not only one angle, but a lot of different angles. Probably you notice that when you discuss with your teammates, or maybe with your family, your spouse, the solution is going to be a bit better. This methodology is making sure that the solution is going to be better if there are even more viewpoints than two. So how do we collaborate? We collaborate in numerous ways. One is, we just go and observe people in pairs. We ask questions to stakeholders. You've probably went through this many times. Those of you who are in contact with clients, you do the requirement gatherings from actual clients. Some of you who are designers, you also have not designers, sorry, developers. You also have your clients. The business analysts are your clients. The product management is your client. It doesn't matter which kind of product, corporate or retail you're working. It is still somebody who is actually ordering what we are going to do. And when we talk with them, this is when we kind of collaborate. We are going to move that to an even higher level. We will be synthesizing in teams. Probably you heard of inside out and outside in thinking. We are going to be thinking from the outside in. That's why we invite others, we invite users with whom we are going to test our prototypes and our ideas. So these are all collaborative activities. One other thing that is very common in all of these visualization of design thinking is that we are human-centered. Many times when we, actually not many times, but probably all of the times, what we are working on, what we are delivering is not something that we are going to be using. It is not something that we are doing for ourselves only. So to be able to provide a good solution, we actually have to know the people who are going to use it, use our products. So the empathy for these people are very important, and also feedback is fundamental. So this is what being human-centered means in terms of design thinking. Again, we are going to test with real users. We are going to use users' insights through our inspirational phase or the ideation phase. And we will define the problem with empathy to the actual user. Okay, prototyping to fail early. This is one of the hardest things. To not only talk about things, but also showing it through a prototype. And although this process is called design thinking, it is actually more about doing and not about thinking. It's during this whole process, we have to embrace experimentation. Can you tell me, do you prototype your work that you do? Is there anyone who is doing prototypes before shipping a product? They're going to experiment of the idea or the functionality?
More as a step to learning, right? When we are in a completely new area. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, no.
Okay, so when you're in a completely new area, you do prototype, Rajesh. Okay, thank you. And what do you learn from those prototypes?
Right, what works, what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
More, I mean, all three aspects. More about, whether an idea is actually commercially viable, technically feasible, is it desirable? What do we end up with? Can we execute it or not? What do we need to know to get it through? Learnings, what works, what doesn't work. That's the purpose of prototyping.
That's great. Thank you very much, Rajesh. Yes, that's very important, that in a very cheap way, we find out what works. Is it desirable? Is it feasible? And is it something that the business or the user wants? Yes, the most important thing in this, it's cheap. Because in a prototype, you don't build the real thing. You don't spend a lot of time actually coding or actually building the real thing, but kind of put it together. If you are designing a screen, for example, you just draw it on the paper. If you are coding, well, if you are trying to do a working a prototype, a functionality, there are methods to do that. There are tools which allow the team to make a working prototype without spending a lot of rigorous hours in coding and coding in a quality that is required to ship a product. So the earlier we do that, the earlier we find out if we failed or not. What you can see in this chart is that if we don't do that and we find out at the very end of the process, of the development process, that the functionality was not right, it was not specified the way how the actual user would want it or the business would need it, then it's already too late, because a lot of man hours, a lot of man days have been spent on making it, and then throwing it out. It's a very, very painful decision, and a lot of times it is just not going to happen. Of course, this is not something that Finastra does, but in your previous life, have you found, have you met this this trouble? Did you find it in your earlier life in other companies that that you prepared something, or the company and the team prepared something, and then it was too expensive to throw it out, to just discontinue it? Did any of you have that kind of experience?
I mean, this is Arun here again. I'm saying, okay, I mean, as long as from my former experience, the purpose of prototyping was pretty clear. And when the experience was learned, people did move on. It was only when you were not sure about what are you building it for, there is always a temptation to retain it and use it to fulfill some deliverable that you have already committed to. But strictly, prototyping, teams have done well, have realized why they prototype and what is the takeaways from it, were all pretty well handled.
So you're saying that you found that if a prototype showed that the thing is not going to work, then there were no problems throwing it away?
Yes, because the lesson,
the lesson is learned.
Behind the prototyping was properly structured.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So far, we mentioned three things that are common in design, in all different design thinking visualization or concepts. One of them was collaboration. One of them was being human-centered. This last one, what we talked about was to prototype to fail early. And my very last point in the commonalities is iteration. That means that if you remember that line, which started out to be very busy and then straightened out, the thing is that the road to success is not a straight line. You know, from here to there, you cannot draw a straight line. There are these loops and curves, and we have to go through that. And the more of these loops and curves you go through, the better the solution is going to be. And iteration, going around and focusing and trying to find the best solution, and allowing iteration is a thing that helps the understanding, the creation, and the learning to make a better result. Okay, do you have questions so far? If any time you have questions and you feel that maybe this is not the time to ask that, just go ahead and email me. What I'm going to do is send you the video to that invitation that Bhakti has sent to all of you. As a reply, I will send the link to the video, and then you will know my email address, and you can ask me anytime you have questions about the topic.
May I ask you to send the slides as well?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
sure. I'm going to do that as well. We have a couple of more minutes, and because I would like to, I'd like to finish at 2 o'clock or maybe a bit before. What I planned as a next part is to go through the steps of the design thinking. If you remember, we talked. There is the emphasize section, there is the define section, there is the ideate phase, there is the prototyping phase, and there is the testing phase. I think that going through these phases are going to be it will require too long time. So I will let that to happen in the next session if Bhakti agrees. At the same time, what I would like to do is show you the slides, or to show you a handouts of the crash course that you are going to be able to facilitate during the Spark Days. Okay, do you agree?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so you will familiarize with this one. I'm going to explain with the process every step what you will need to do during this crash course. What we are just going to go through in the next 15 minutes is just really a very quick overview of what's going to happen in a crash course. So after you are familiar with the process, that you know what it means to being in an empathize mode, in the define phase, what it means to ideate, to prototype, to test, you will be able to facilitate a course for others. That course is about 1 and 1.5 hours. It is scripted very well, so you don't actually have to actually design anything. You don't have to actually think about anything. You just have to make sure that the people who are in the room will be able to follow the process, and they have every material that is necessary for this course. This crash course will let the people go through the 5 steps of design thinking. They will actually make a project throughout this 1.5 hours. If we will have, if you agree, we will be also doing this crash course a bit longer, not today, of course, but for in next sessions. We will going to go through the same session, the same steps, so you are going to be familiar with what is going to happen with the others. The task of the crash course is to redesign an office printing experience for your partner. The people in the Spark Days are going to be working in partners, 3, 2, but preferably 2 people working together. As the very first exercise is going to be an interviewing exercise. That means that they are going to take roles of the interviewer and also the role of the person who is answering the questions. It is going to be switched in 2 to 5 in 5 minutes. So 5 minutes is one person, the interviewer, then the next 5 minutes is the other person, the interviewer. They're going to take notes, and then in the next 5 minutes, they can go another round. Why is it important to go another round? It's because in the first session, they might find one interesting area that they want to dig deeper into. And then they switch roles again. Do you have any question in this first part?
Susanna, this is Rajesh from Trivandrum. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Susanna, actually in the next week, during the Spark, I think at least in Trivandrum, the maximum time allocated for design thinking is just, 1 hour. And
an hour?
Yeah, just an hour. And an invite is also for the entire public, actually. So we are expecting somewhere, the 50 to 60 people.
50 to 60 people. Okay.
Yeah.
Rajesh, do I remember correctly that you do have design thinking experience already? Yes, that's great. Okay, no problem. In 50 to 60 people, no problem. This can be done. You will need other people to help you.
Right.
If there are 50 to 60 people, at least 3 to 4 people would be necessary for you. And those 3 to 4 people would be preferably somebody who knows what design thinking is.
Yeah, that is true. But on top of that, even that seating arrangement, that is also not going to be like, a typical workshop, the seating arrangement.
Yeah.
So
okay.
wondering actually how we can really, because, if you really need to show the, more than empathy, actually, if they have to coordinate or collaborate with each other.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Before I answer your question, one question to you and then to the others. Did I understand it correctly that it's going to be next week?
I think, yeah, it is on 12th, right, Arun? It is on 12th, I think next Thursday. Yep.
Okay.
So this is true only for one site, right? So the Spark Days, they're happening over the course of several months.
Yes.
The first site that is going to participate in a Spark Day, well, the first next is Trivandrum.
Okay. Okay. Then let's do the following. Because that's very quick. I mean, it's Thursday. Why don't we take it offline? Why don't we talk, schedule a call among us, the four of us, and I will talk you through, and it's very good that you already have some experience in design thinking, so you don't actually need the course that much. But why don't I just take you through the steps, show you and send you notes for preparation, the arrangement of how can you arrange with 50, 60 people, what tools you need, post-it notes, pencils, and those kind of things. Why don't we do that? I think that would be the best thing to do, because you have it. I mean, you need it right away. Maybe maybe yesterday is also too late.
Yeah. So Susan, actually, in fact, what I'm thinking of is that actually, on next Thursday, I thought of, just introducing actually the design thinking as a, method or process or mindset to the team, who are actually coming for that, the presentation. Just go through actually what is the underlying mindset, behind actually the design thinking, and what are those 5 steps, and what are some, the generic, idea about, the different tools for, each of those steps. And then, I am thinking of a detailed, the hands-on, the workshop. It can be a 1 or 2 days workshop actually for those who are really, interested actually to, take it forward.
So do I understand it correctly? You are thinking that maybe just kind of like just a presentation for all of the people, and those people who are interested a bit more, you would like to have. Yeah, that's one way to do it. Yeah. In my experience, during the 1 hour, the crash course can be done, and it's a really fun thing to do. So people are going to love you at the end, yes, because it's really fun. It lets people do things that they usually don't do. It's really enjoyable, because what happens is that, just going through quickly, the very first thing, you gather information, what the people want, you define the problem, then you do a crazy 8. For those of you who have UX background and have been doing design thinking, know what crazy 8 is. It is really a quick way of drawing alternatives, sketching, drawing, really drawing, and then testing, and then drawing again and testing again, and building a solution. And building the solution is the most fun part, because you actually, the participants actually get to build from cardboard, from boxes, from paper, printer, whatever experience they had in mind. And they enjoy it, they love it. So I can assure you that this can be done in an hour.
Okay.
But of course, it's your decision. And if you think that maybe 50, 60 people you don't feel comfortable with, it's fine. It's all right. It's your decision. In either case, why don't we schedule a call and discuss that? And I can walk you through this whole crash course. So to give you the confidence that you can do it if you choose to do it next week.
So what I will do is that, let me have a discussion with actually Arun, who is coordinating, this park in Trivandrum, and let me see the room which they blocked for, this also. Kind of, the logistics actually we have. And then I will let you know that, then, what we can do. But in fact, I would like to have some, the hands-on, the experience, even within this, the 1 year time, because I don't want to run a PPT in front of, those guys actually, especially for design thinking. So let me see. Actually, I will let you know that, how we can actually.
Okay. If you're talking with.
That, that entire day is, the jam packed, and, just out of that, just 1 hour, they just allocated for, the design thinking.
Okay. Another thing is, I'm just mentioning that, and of course there are a lot of decisions are necessary to make it happen. But if you feel it's better, I can also travel and help you doing this. But of course, there are a lot of things have to go right for that to happen. But if you feel that that's something that you need, just say, and we can discuss that as well.
Yeah, sure, Susan. I will let you know that.
Okay.
Hi,
yes?
this is John Tarakan speaking. Yeah, hi. Rajesh, I am actually working out of Bangalore office, but right now I'm in Trivandrum. So you can just email me or ping me if you need probably to, set things up or something, because I'll be traveling back to Bangalore on the 15th of July.
Okay. So let us meet on tomorrow then, John, actually, if you're in Trivandrum.
So I'm at Trivandrum, so maybe, upon your convenience, as of now, I'm working from home for this week. So we can catch up at, I have not been to the DNH office in Trivandrum, but nevertheless, if required, we can catch up and schedule something.
No, even we can meet on next week. So John, no issues actually.
So we can plan that out. No worries on that. We can.
Okay. And am I mistaken that Arun Babji is also in the same office?
No, I am based out of Pune. There are two.
Okay,
there are
you're from a
two
different
Arun
office. Okay.
I am based out of Pune.
Okay. Then that won't help. That definitely won't help. Okay.
So, Suzanne, just one clarification. This is John speaking. So,
yes.
I had done a small session in Bangalore, but that was for a limited team, maybe the FCC development and QA team. So I understand I'm the only person from Bangalore. So is the expectation for me to drive this at Bangalore for the entire Finastra? Because there we have a huge crowd. Bangalore, we have a bigger office in Bangalore. So is that what the expectation would probably lead on to?
No. So
Hi, John.
let me clarify from my side. So the goal of the Spark Days is actually to have a limited number of participants that is a manageable crowd, and then ultimately keep rolling it out, right? So you can actually do 3 Spark Days throughout the year, each time with slightly different audience. So in this particular case, the recommendation that is coming from me and what we've done successfully in the past is that if you invite about 50, maybe 60 people, right? I understand your office might be very large. And then after that, you can repeat it. Now, on the other hand, if you guys already decided to invite many people, then it's quite common. And what we've done in the past is to actually kind of ask individuals which particular sessions you would like to participate, or actually even send them an invite and say, this is on first come, first serve basis. We have limited participation of 60 out of the Spark Day itself for this particular 1.5 hour slot, right? And then you send it out, you receive 60 acceptances, and if anything, it's going to work in your favor because there will be self-selection and only the people who genuinely would like to contribute and commit will actually participate.
Yeah, okay, fine. That makes sense. That should be fine, yeah.
Okay, we are reaching the end of our time. So what we agreed with Rajesh is that we are going to talk whenever it's suitable for you. I'm happy to talk even today or tomorrow or Friday. I would suggest that we start discussing the details this week. So next week you are going to be prepared. For the rest of you who don't have the Spark Day coming up next week, we can continue in the next session where we will actually continue our discussion about design thinking, because today we talked about the common aspects, the mindset that is required, and next time we can talk through the actual steps, the 5 steps that are necessary, and then also the actual crash course, how it looks like, what is necessary, what are the tools, how it is processed during the Spark Days. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, Susanna, that is fine.
Okay. Is there anybody, I will just check the other way around. Is there anybody who didn't sign up for this? This is not what he thought it's going to be, doesn't want to participate anymore. It's boring what I'm telling you because you already know it. Oh, that's great. There are none of you. Okay, that's great. Bakhtir, would you mind if I ask you to schedule another call?
Yes, absolutely.
And then
so from my side, I will schedule these 2 calls, right? So one is with John and with Rajesh.
Yeah.
And we will fast track them, and I will schedule a 2nd session for this group going forward.
That's great. And I will check the recording, and if it's good, of course it's going to be good, then I'm going to send you all the link together with the slides.
Hi, it's Anastasia. Can I just make a suggestion as well? I think there's in this group, there seems to be sort of overlap of some of the offices and things like this, so maybe it would be worth sharing as well the list of people in the different offices, so we know if we do organize a training session, maybe there's, you know, if it's a couple of us in the same office, we can collaborate.
That would be great.
Sure, I can do that also. Actually, in the schedule itself, I will put together the list of individuals. Actually, I have that list, and then you will see who is where, right? So in your particular case, just to be precise, guys, you're the only ones who probably don't know each other. It's Karishma who is on the call, it's Maxon who is on the call, and it's Anastasia who is on the call, right? For everyone else, they know who their counterparts are because they worked together in the past very closely.
Okay.
Okay, that's great. And welcome again in being the design thinking ambassadors of Finastra. And hope to talk to you very soon. And welcome. And I enjoy it very much, and I am very happy to working with you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Have a good day.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.